There we go. We are streaming. I'm gonna have to work on that event stuff. There we go. Have to work on that. Okay. Let's do this. Start practicing this a little bit here. See what we got. Hello, motion bug. Where are you located? Just gonna do a little test. I'm gonna start doing these on a regular weekly, so I'm gonna start with Soundwave for my challenge here. I'm gonna give this a little bit more work here. I'm gonna do a little old school mirrored weld. Love that. Love that. Just so I gotta get at least a basic understanding here of the clearance level that I'm gonna have for him. You know what, looking at this, I'm gonna change this up just a smidge. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get though. I'm trying to do a planned event. I've never done a planned event like this, so it's working now, like you say. But this is just straight up regular stream. Usually, I'm using a piece of software to do this. Just looking at the clearance level that I want to have for him. You know what? I think I'm going to use the deformer instead here. Do a little of that. A little of that. There we go. All right. Works for me. You know what? I think I might make the base foot a little bit smaller. Yeah, I'm gonna do I'm doing a challenge for myself, transformer challenge. So I'm gonna do 5 transformers. So I'm starting with Soundwave. I've always been a big fan of him. So I'll move on to go through him. I'll probably end up doing Ravage too and Laserbeak. You know, these old pesky little friends of his. I don't know why I've always gravitated towards him, but I've always gravitated towards him as a cool Transformer character. So I'll probably end up maybe doing these 2 guys as well. We'll see. We'll see how far this goes. We'll see where we go with this. That's an interesting look, right? I didn't even notice this part when I first originally blocked out. I might have to throw that in there now. Because then this is my knee. It's my knee. I think we'll go a little bit wider with that too. So turn on our local. Go a little bit wider with that. The leg. Turn that on too. Go a little bit wider with that. Just get a little more volume to it. This for me is a big one. You know what? I think what I don't like now that I'm looking at this, I'm changing my mind. The beauty of us being artists. Problem, I think, is this piece. I don't like what I did here. I'm not digging it. The old trusted clip brush. Let's go maybe that much. And we'll make sure our local's on. I think that'll be better. Let's clip this out. So, what I'm noticing also that I just noticed, this part's only on the inside part of his leg, and this is on the outside. Just notice that now. So just do a quick block out. What the back of him's gonna look like then. You know what? Maybe. Just think about what I want to do for that part right there. I'm going a little bit between this and this. Didn't his buddies live in his chest? You're right. They sure did. This logo channel. That's why I'm kind of doing it. I've always been a fan of this guy. Like I said before you got here, I'm probably there's his two buddies, Ravage and I want to say Laserbeak if I remember right. I'll probably end up doing those two guys as well. Alright, let's do this. Let's just clip this. Let's move this into place here. Something more like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of my own little spin on him, I think. So we'll do that. And this piece, let's go ahead and copy it. And if there's some questions that you have while we're all together right now, by all means, fire away. So let's go with, this is going to clip about there, I'd say. Maybe a little bit too much, let's go there. Right, I'm going to clip across here. Got something like that, but I do not want these to weld. The colors are so similar. There we go. So in Dino Mesh, I'm gonna throw the groups on. There we go. That's a little bit better. That way, I can take this. Let's just mask this out. And then this has got to go, let's say about that far up his leg. Right, let's see it around there. Okay, and definitely want to have the legs matching his profile. That and this. We want this to cut across. Okay, we got this definitely too far out. Let's go about there. And then I'd say, let's go. How that looks. I don't know. I think I'll go a little more shallow with this. I don't think I'm gonna go more in that tone for that part of the leg. And then this, we gotta go and cut it. There. More like that. There we go. There. Happy little trees. Let's do something more like that. And I think I'm going to do something like that. Yeah, that's better. This guy, I'll trim this up real quick as well. There we go. Quick blocking out. Just some quick block out. That's what I'm looking to do here. And then I'll start getting into the other parts. I'll work on the head today. Let's look at where I'm sitting in space. So let's do that. There we go. Right, now we can mirror weld that over. Mirror weld that. Mirror weld that. Mirror weld that there. At least we have the major parts of him now. Okay. Looks good. I don't know. Do I like the proportions? I guess the proportions are fine. I'm not seeing anything glaring. Well, actually, I'm going to put a little more space in his chest. Now that I'm looking at this. So I'll turn this on. Reverse this. Okay, and I don't want these bad boys to be a part of it. It looks like dude. Alright, so let's separate this piece and this piece. Let's make them their own subtool. Caps 1 and 2. Okay, when you're shaping object by using the cut tool like you're doing, how is the end able to fix the mesh so it's symmetrical? So you're asking how do I make it symmetrical? That's what you're... How did I make it so it's symmetrical like this? So when I was clipping, then I made the right side? Is that what you're asking? Because right now I'm using Dynamesh, so when I'm clipping, I'm going to get a re-Dynamesh of it too. So that's going to help with that. So I'm going to... I don't want any of these guys to. I want to put a little bit more. I definitely want this to come with him. Give him a little bit more chest in there. Alright. Let's go to this. And oops. I just want to make that a little bit more going on. A little bit more, I think a little more chest. A little more height. Yeah, still a bit more on height. Looking at this is the problem when you start playing. You start doing a little too much. Let's just extend this out. Oops. For that. That. Maybe even give this a little bit more? Just a tad bit more? Yeah. I think that's better. That's some more volume. Give them a little more height too. So when I'm reshaping, is that symmetrically with the clip brushes? I was just using the clip brushes. That's what I was doing on the bottom of the leg. So logo and channel, art designer. Can you throw the question at me some more? And everyone let me know that you can hear me fine. Assuming you can hear me fine. My microphone even closer to me. There we go. Get a little more going there. Get a little more going there. Alright. Let's do his head. All right. Let's do this easy. Okay. So there's his head. Let's go ahead. I'm going to put this in a folder right now. Call this head pieces. There we go. Okay, maybe not symmetrically, but is the mesh holding objects together? Right now, I have them all as separate subtools. I'm not quite sure what you're asking specifically with your question. There's nothing holding them together, per se. It's just I've blocked them out, and I'm just using particular subtools to do the blocking out. That's all. Now, the more and more I keep looking at this, the more and more I keep wanting to tweak this, which I don't know if it's a good thing. Well, sometimes too much tweaking can be a bad thing. But I'm thinking I'm actually liking that better. With him being more like that. That straight back leg. So I'll bring that in. So this also needs to get tweaked then too. Let's move this in. Let's go there. Let's do the same thing to that. So these are all just Dynamesh pieces, and I'm just using the clip brush in essence to tweak this up. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to look at this over here. I don't know if I like that now. I want to put a little bit of angle. Even on this one, they go straight down, right? The original 81 has a little bit. I'm going to go back to, I think, putting that back in there. I'm going to keep my angle. Kind of like that better. I like that silhouette better. That's a much better silhouette. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with what I originally had. Much better. Move that over. So we got it on both sides. Okay. I'm sticking with that. So there's nothing holding it together per se. It's just I'm using polygrouping. Number one, so I got this group and this group, and because I'm using Dynamesh with groups, it's keeping these actually separate pieces for me, because again, I'm just quickly trying to block out something, and now I want to start building more of him up, you know, and have him look a little bit cooler, let's say. Okay, so let's start building the head. Let's start working on that. So again, I put that in a folder. What's up, Jay? Happy New Year. How are you? Yeah, I think the angle gives it more character. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to duplicate this guy head, and let's replace it. The cube. Okay, I'm going to work really low. It's just going to be easier to work this low. And we're going to have this come out. Let me look at... Okay, the original one, he's got a tapering to the front. This one, kind of like this one, actually a little bit better than even the original. We'll do a combination of both. Again, I'm going to put my own spin on this Soundwave. So, it's my world, man. There. Happy little trees. So, we'll have this come out. This. Okay, let's turn off the cannon right now. I don't want the cannon. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've streamed on my channel, so I'm trying to do this as my own little personal challenge for this year, for in essence 2021. Do my own thing. And so this is my first thing for 2021. I want to do a transformer challenge. So that's where I'm starting. I'm going to do, my goal is to do 5 different transformers. So I'm starting with this guy because I'm just a big fan of him. So this is where I'm going with it. So let's do this one. Okay, so we got this. Just on an angle, so we need, let me just save this. We don't need it saved. Okay, so this is going to go up a little bit. Let's go up a little bit. In fact, before we do that, let's put some little helping geometry here. So this goes up, we'll go up a little bit, and this comes down, and goes in a little bit, go a little bit more, and go a little bit more, something a little bit like that. Okay. Okay, kind of like that. I like where that's going. Alright, and let's go ahead and Q-mesh this, all polygons. Get up. Do a little mirror and welding, that'll help us get the width of this a little bit. Turn that cannon on. The cannon's going to be easy. You can move that over anytime. Just so the head gets more space here. Just looking over in the chat as we're streaming here, looking into the chat, Okay, so that we've got some thickness here. All right, it might be a little too wide, maybe. So let's bring it in just a little bit. There you go. Let's delete the backside. Flat island. Turn on that display properties. Double it up. Now I'm going to bridge it. Let's do circle. There, click there. Actually. Oh, let's try something else. I don't know if I like that one. Let's try arcs. Let me see it. Let's see. Or we could do straight corners. Let's see. Now that's a lot closer. There. That one's better. That one's more him. Definitely a little bit more him. Yeah, looking at this, let's go ahead and adjust this too. Bring that in a little bit. I don't want that to be as big. And let's do the same thing for this. Let's bring this in just a bit more. There. Now let's do what we're doing there. Click. Click. I'm going to keep it as low as I can, polygon-wise. I think that's better. Let's crease it up. Crease, 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 crease. My favorite. Okay, and I want this definitely to be creased. So let's use the new feature. Oh, I don't want that creased. I don't want that creased. I want that creased. Good, good, good. And what I do want creased is this. So there's the new shortest path. I think just good old crease complete will do it. So I'll have that creased, that creased. Let's see what that looks like now. Like that. Okay, I like that. And let's go ahead. Crease level 2. Smooth it out. That's it. Yeah, that's better. I like that better. Checking the chat. Continue checking in your guys' chit chat. Okay, let's Q mesh this flat island. You know what? Before we do that, let's just inset this. Let's say flat island for this. Equidistant is good. Yeah, that way. Let's Q mesh this out now. Just give it a little bit of more something there. I think for sure. Make it look a little bit. Oops, a little bit better. Like that. Like that. And now let's see what we got here. It just adds another little touch. It's working for me. Might need to adjust the back head a little bit. I need a little more volume there. So let's use the deformer. I do like my deformer. So let's just go a little bit more volume. Actually, let's mask off the front of this. And that, and now. That's better. I want to give him a little bigger head. More like that, I think. That's for me. Okay. Perfecto. Let's go ahead and just keep going on this. Let's take this and this. Let's be in symmetry mode. Usually useful. Okay. Let's separate this now. Alright. I don't even know what to call this. I always love naming things. What to name it? Ear piece. Ears. Let's do this ear section. Okay, and then this is going to be ear subs. Not the subs we eat, but the subs that we do. Okay, that's good, that's good. Like this. On that local. More. cube mesh it. It's all polygons. Okay, I'm just going to crease all faster. Let's do an inset here. That in. Jump, cube mesh it, polygon. That. This all. It needs to squeeze it a little bit too. Something like that. Got the subtractive, throw in some live boolean. What's your question? Fire away your question at me. Go ahead. Hit me with it. It needs to be smaller. I don't like. Still needs to be height-wise. That. Yeah, that looks better. Go ahead. What's your question about maps? Fire away. Let's put his face in. That'll help me with some sizing. Let's make this the mouth. Gives him his look too. Cube. In fact, we really need it to be plain. That'll be good enough. This just to make it easy to get to the other side. Okay, so his mouth should not be bigger than the ear accent section in essence. So let's go right about there. And this one's definitely not bigger than the original. At least on this image. You can see that. Pull this one forward. Do my little touch. Okay, go ahead. Hit me with the question about your maps. I love tangents, so hit me with it. This one's got a little bit. That's good. How can you have all the details in a normal map? Because the normal map in the above subdivision does not show some great details. Well, it's easy to put all the details in a normal map. That's not too difficult. We can cover that. We can go on that little tangent. Let me just finish up this mouthpiece thing that I'm working on, and then we'll dive into that. We can go into that for sure. Let's make sure we got symmetry on. Just turned it off. All modeler. Let's give him balls. Let's give this some thickness. Let's see what we got. This creased. 2, 4. Okay, so that's a good start to his mouth. Good simple base there. Just trying to block out his head right now. Okay, so let me answer your normal map. Okay. You can have both small and large details. You can go about this many different ways, in fact. You could even go to the route of using displacement maps to do the really big, obviously pushing, right, details, and then only have the very high fidelity details in your normal map if you wanted to. That could be a good way to go for you. But you can have ZBrush, if you're using ZBrush to create your maps, you can have it put all the details in just your normal map. So it's not too complicated. So let me just save this guy out so that he is saved out. Before I go too far down the rabbit hole here. I'm just getting to my folder structure here. Okay. All right. So as far as normal mapping goes, okay, let's just grab something simple. Let's just grab the dog. Okay. So we got the dog. Okay. First thing you should do, if you're going to generate maps, okay, because ZBrush is going to divide, you're going to have a little bit of smoothing. So the first thing I would do is create a morph target before you do any dividing. So this would be if you're importing a mesh to, or just wherever you're starting, I would create the morph target. And that way we've stored a version of this dog where there's been no change to the dog at all, because obviously this is the version that's in my other application if you're trying to use normal maps or displacement maps or anything like that, okay? So then I divide up, okay? And then this is where then we start doing some sculptural changes. So let's get a little crazy here with him. Throw some spray, dual alpha, and then right now I'm using spotlight. So let me tell it I don't want projections. Okay. So we got something like that. Let's throw a little drag rec on this. Let's throw some stars. Why not? We'll go in and out, in and out, in and out. Let's also do some with the focal shift all the way down at negative, so we really get something like that. And let's do the arrow, and let's go way more intense. I'm doing this just so I get different levels of in the normal map as well, because obviously some parts are sticking up further than other parts. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to need UVs on the dog, obviously, right? So right now, we've got a version of the dog with subdivision levels. And then you can see this is why I'm storing a morph target. You can see this. The details of the sculpt are going to stay in all levels. It's the beauty of ZBrush with multiple subdivision level, right? Is I can go down to the lower, make some big adjustments, and that's going to populate back up through my subdivision levels so I don't lose all the sculpted details that I did on this. Okay, so let's just see what we get as a default for UV master. Okay, so I'm going to use the UV master for this. So I'm going to UV master this. I'm going to work on the clone. Let's just see what we get as a default. Let's just see. I'm not going to try and make a really good map right now. Okay, that's good enough. It's good enough for us to see what's going to be in the map. So I'm going to copy those UVs, go back to the dog that has sculptural detail on it. I'll switch back to material that's better for you to see. And paste my UVs. Okay, so now this dog has got UVs on it. Alright, so we've got some UVs. I've got a dog that has subdivision levels. I've got sculpted on it. So now if I want to create a normal map for this, and I really only want the sculpted detail that I did put on the dog, and I don't want any of the, in essence, the dividing of the dog in the map, this is why we stored a morph target first. So you'd walk down to the lowest, and then you would switch. And now you'll get back the version of the dog where there's nothing ever been done with it. There's no sculpting. There's no any little bit of shrinkage that might have been happening from the dividing. Okay? And then now I tell ZBrush to create the normal map. So it's just what type of map do you want? Tangent or world space? Do you want to use adaptive or not? Smooth UVs and smoothing normals. So I'm going to turn these four on and then just create a normal map. So now ZBrush is analyzing the dogs at level 1, but it remembers what the other level is, and it's finding the difference between those and generating the normal map. And so this particular normal map that I'm making is going to have all the details that I've done to the dog, whether it's small details or large details. So it's going to have all those littler details and all the larger details in it as well. So let this finish. So, and again, depending on, this guy's 2 million. So depending on what you're doing, and I'm right now on a notebook right now, and I'm streaming right now. So I've got OBS running, I got my browser running, I got ZBrush running. So there's some resources being pulled for sure. So then there's my map. So now if you scroll over, you can see the only thing that's in my map are all the details that I did. So this is how you would create this is how I would want to create a normal map to get it out into my other program. The key thing is that morph target. If you don't store a morph target, you're going to need to re-import the version of the model from your other application that has no sculptural changes on it back in on the model with the sculptural changes, i.e. this one. Which that's easy. You just export an OBJ from the other program, come back to ZBrush, have this set at the lowest subdivision level, and then just import it over top of it, and then store a morph target. And then you're good to go. Okay? Does that answer your question for your normal map question? Let me know if that's answering the question for you. And again, if I redo this map, so here, let's clone this normal map just so we have a version of it in the texture map. And now let's switch back. And then here's the difference. If we now create a normal map, you're going to see the actual outlining of the dog in the map. So in that most cases, it's not what you want. Unless this is going to be your base mesh in your other program. If this is your base mesh in your other program, then you're probably going to want to generate a map without a morph target. In most cases, that's not what you're going to want. You're going to want the version of, like, i.e. this dog that had no sculptural change at all. in him. Okay, and you'll see here, once this map is done, you'll see what the difference is. Okay, so give this a second. Do. Making maps is so much fun. Boom, boom. Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so it's finishing up. And there we go. Okay, so now here, let me clone this because it's going to be subtle. But so see the version when I scroll over it. See, you can kind of see the dog barely, just a little bit of the dog, right, in the map. And if I switch now to that one, you see you don't see the dog. You're only seeing the sculpturing details. So this is important to understand. There's again the one with not the morph target, and I can't show you without actually pulling this up in another program. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that in the stream. I'm assuming you can see it in the stream. I can see it pretty well on my side. And then if I swap between them, then you'll definitely be able to see what I'm talking about. So it's a different map, right? That's going to give you a different result in your rendering engine. If you're going the gaming route, if you're doing rendering film-wise, that's also going to give you a different result. So that's key. But a good thing sometimes to do is use neural maps just for maybe the top 2 levels, subdivision levels. So wherever you sit in your subdivisions, that's where ZBrush is going to pull from to create the map. So if I'm going to sit here now at level 3, then in the normal map, I'm only going to get the difference that is from level 3 to, in this case, level 5. And you can put that in your normal map. So if I'm going to go that route, I usually go the route of I'll use normal subdivision levels for like my displacement, in essence. And then I'll start using HD geometry. And I'll use HD geometry just only for what I'm going to want in a normal map. So this is just another technique that you could use, right? And that's only, it comes down to your field, where you're going. You know, if you're in the film world, you can do stuff displacement in normal maps more than you can in the gaming world, right? Because obviously our gaming world, you're going to be more normal map dependent than displacements. And of course, however, the new Unreal, right, though, it's going to be having a ZBrush model straight in it. You don't have to worry about it. I say, why worry about maps? If you don't have to worry about maps, don't have them. That's what I say. That's what I say. Okay, let's look at this. Let's do a little bit more with this. Excuse me, sorry. There's modeler. Okay, it's gonna boom and come back. So I'm gonna put also another edge in here. Let's say that. And then this. Let's Q-mesh this so that there's a little bit more base in there. And looking at this now, let's go with more of, instead of doing a Q-mesh, let's do a transpose. Something like this. And when we get something more like that, and then now let's get this a little bit of an angle. And let's clip this so it's straight. Let's something a little bit more like that, I think. Let's see now. Just so there's more going through in here. Okay. good. Okay, and excuse me, man. Let's add some more to this. I'm thinking about maybe what we should do. Maybe what I should do here is, yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna look better, I think, if we do a little bit of this. Let's take the points. Let's stitch it. We'll go. Let's do endpoints. So I'll do this to this. This to it. And this into it. And then this into it. Just clean that up. I'd rather have a corner like that, I think. Yeah, so you get a little bit more roundness in there. So let's look at this 3. Too much. Stick with this. So I'll add more. Okay. Put a little beveling on this guy. So let's do these faces. Set. Okay, it's creating that. So let me see if we can get rid of that. There we go. Something like this. It's accumulation of the ball. Just a little beveling. So it looks like it's got some movement in there. And let's go ahead and now crease what I want creased. Looks like I can just crease all, save myself some time. I think it's a little wide. Needs an angle here. So let's use the old handy dandy deformer again. I'm a big fan of this. Let's have nothing this way. Work symmetrically. Technically, we don't need that many spans for this piece. That's enough. But, yeah, that's better. It's already leaps and bounds better. Get that angle in there. I'm just trying to, right now, just quickly, as fast as I can, knock out some stuff. And by all means, we want to go on tangents, fire away at your questions. Just look in between this line and where the 80s version is. Okay. Let's see. Let me get a close up of this. Okay. Let's see what they did there. Almost looks like he's got a baseball cap. This? I think I'm going to do that. That's actually, I don't mind that. I'm going to do something a little, maybe something like that. The original does not have that. Like, the 80s style is just... But I kind of like what they got going on here. It's kind of... It's a little different. Like that line right there with this. Different for sure. Okay. Let me put this back down. Z it up. Alright. I'm going to need, again now, another brush. Okay, so we got mouth, ear section. Let's take the mouth. And let's establish this a little bit first. go with a cube. Okay, this definitely needs to be bigger. Okay, and bring this up higher. Right now, I'll increase everything. Excuse me. Start shaping this up a little quick right here. I want the eyes to be bigger. Okay. Get the height of that down. And cannon's in the way again. Okay. So they decided to do something different than the 80s version. So how do you move the pivot points of a deformer? So most of the deformers are going to be dependent upon the gizmo's location. Okay? So depending on that is going to be what's going to happen here, right? So if you are, say, throwing on a deformer like I am here, you can see how it's just going around the mesh. Notice that the deformer is also looking straight on, straight above, on the sides, right? So that's important, because if I was now to do, let's do this, and then let's do this, right? So you can see the gizmo's on an angle. So if I do that, you can see now the deformer takes on the angle. And what's nice about this, the deformer, and this one in particular, and a lot of them do, have symmetry. But their symmetry is not going to be dependent on the axis of the worlds or the mesh itself. The symmetry is dependent upon the gizmo. So this means that I can put this gizmo wherever I want, however I want, orientation-wise, and I can have symmetry, which can come in very, very handy. Okay, so that's the first thing to understand, to get. It's not all of a sudden. Okay, so if we, let's just make this, since you're bringing up bend curve, this, okay, and again, if you're doing this and you go to bend curve, you can see it takes on the angle of that gizmo. So in most cases, you're going to want like the gizmo set to the world axis. So you can hold the Alt key and hit this little rewind, and then that way you can make sure the gizmo's along the Z, the X, and the Y. And then now you'll have a bend curve, right? So that's really the only way to control it per se. And now I can say I want 3 points, and then now I can grab this, and then this is doing this, of course. And if you add a couple more points into the mix, you'll get a little bit different feel for moving this around. Okay, and then of course there's all these other controls within these cones. So this is smoothing. This is saying, do you want symmetry? So I can say yes, no. So setting this to 1, if you look down here, see it's set at 1, 0 is no, 1 is yes. So now if I pull on this, it does it to the other side. Because now I'm working symmetrically with this. So you can see I could even make this for the top of his head, that earpiece, or it's a jelly bean, right? So is that what you were looking for, Jay? Since you're asking the question about the pivot point. Then of course the mesh is always the mesh. The deformers are going to look at the bounding box of the mesh. Right, it's going to be its driver in some cases. Now you can also, if I duplicate something, right, this is now masked off and this isn't. If I now click a deformer, you can see the deformer only goes along around the one that's not masked off. So that's also something that becomes important to understand. And then moving the pivot is just, again, more about also this becomes your essence, your pivot driver. Okay, but what this is really driving, come out of this, go to the deformers, you can see it's still going to only this sphere over here, but it's taking on the angle of the gizmo. Does that help? Does that answer your question for you? Jay, let me know. Alright, let's crease it all right now. Back to this. Okay, let's see. Shoulders bogging. Okay. So now I need some topology to support the shape that I want to put in this. Just make it a little symmetrical here. We need to do his eyes as well to really get what I want here. Just take a really quick. See what we get. Go ahead with your Poseable symmetry question. Go ahead. This definitely needs to be refined some more. I like this. Not a fan of what I'm doing here with the head. Not a fan. Something around here. Decreased. do that part. I'm not feeling that head part right now. Yeah, using Poseable symmetry is about topology. So it's about, I do not like, it looks like you're wearing a ball cap. So, no, 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 don't like it, don't like it, don't like it. Okay, so for your Poseable symmetry question, I'm just going to grab the demo soldier, and then we'll look at only him. Okay, so Poseable symmetry, right, it's about topology. Right, so his topology is the same on the left and the right. Okay, so when you turn on your symmetry, you've got this. Okay, as my symmetry points. Okay, so this is easy. It is what it is. I got this and this, right? So when you go to use Poseable symmetry, it just analyzed the mesh and it tells you up the top up here, full symmetry found. Okay, and then now let's do something like this. Let's just do something really not good at all. Oops. And I don't want symmetry on if we're going to use Poseable symmetry. Hello. Something like that. Let's just make it different, right? So now I can still sit here and sculpt here, and I know it's happening on the other hand in another place. Same thing if people start moving all this stuff around, you can make it happen symmetry wise in a Poseable way. Okay, so when you go to save this out, just save it out. Yeah, you can still use the Poseable symmetry. So even if you're saving it out as a tool, it's about the topology is what it's really about. Does that help? Does that make sense? Are you having an issue like saving out your models and opening them again? Because we could try it. Let's see. Let's save this. There we go. So let's put this in the downloads. Save that out. Okay, we can even delete. Okay, and then you're saying you're having issues. Let's see what we got here. Okay, there he is. Right? And then there's that. So you see this isn't savable with the dog, but this model, right, has it. You actually have to delete it. So I can still, as you can see, I can still work on the biceps and start coming down the arm. And then this one, the one on the right, sitting in a different place, right, than the one on the left. But it's still got Poseable symmetry. So it doesn't work for you? Make sure you're not changing any of your vertex, any of your points. The best would be is sharing the model to take a look at it. That way I can have the model and take a look at stuff. Okay. Oh, this is just, I can't get rid of this. This is probably getting a little tired now. I don't know how much further I'm going to be able to go. I'm going to make this shape first. These glasses. These glasses almost can be made out of the sphere. Let's do a little more fun. Alright. Let's use some spotlights. Okay, and let's bring in, fact, let's not do that. I'm going to reload my spotlight of this guy. Okay. Good. Okay. Let's take another image. Let's duplicate it. Let's get rid of this. Actually, maybe I do. Just thinking right now. Thinking about what I want to do here. We could try it. Let's try it. Let's see what we get. Let's experiment with something real quick. Let's get rid of everything on this duplicated image. So it's pretty much a clean slate of an image. There's nothing in here. Okay. Switch back. And then now, scale this to the center there. That is now sitting at dead center. Just so you can quickly make something here. That's too much. Just using Spotlight to kind of get a little bit of a helping hand visual look. Which we can turn into real geometry, of course. Okay. Something like that. 6, 6. size that up. Again, I'm just trying to block something out, kind of, for the most part right now. I'm gonna go, no, I don't think I'm gonna go that extreme. Let's delete symmetry parts so I can play with this a little bit more. What if I turn symmetry off? Like that, I guess. Definitely gonna need to block in some more stuff, guys. Unfortunately, I gotta call it a night. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day for me. So, but I'm hoping to stream again tomorrow. Get going on just getting them now to shapes that I really want blocked off a little bit better. And then before I start really going into some crazy detailing. Okay, but I gotta call it a night. What's your other question? Oh, I don't know about the Z-Tree plugin. That's written by another person. That's their own plugin that they sell. I really couldn't help you with the Z-Tree. I've never used it. That's done by somebody else. That's not an official like plugin from Pixelogic. That's just something that somebody did. But if you have another question before I go, unfortunately, I'm just tired. I have no idea. I don't know if they've updated the Z-Tree plugin for what versions, in all honesty. No idea. Again, it's not a plugin I use, and it's not an official plugin either from Pixelogic. So, but you can make trees even with fiber mesh too. Like you can do that as well. But if you like the Z-Tree, it's got a lot of power in it, so that could be a good one. It definitely is a good one to use. Well, it's good to see you too, Jay. All right, well, keep an eye out. I'm planning to now do this a little bit more often for 2021. That's my goal. I'm going to stick to it for myself to try and get some more artwork going. Get going on all this. So, well, thank you for the few of you that were hanging out with me. I didn't really do too much tonight. It was kind of, I'm just getting going. I just taught tonight too. Okay, but I'm leaning more towards this guy a little bit more than the original, but like I said, I'm going to do a little more my own stuff here and there as I work through this guy. Okay, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Sleep tight if it's as late as it is for me, for the rest of you. Alright, have a good night.